Our mystic today is Guru Amar Das. I think I started the series with a share from his wisdom, and he penned this beautiful poem. It again has 40 stanzas like the Japji Sahib, and it's called the Anand Sahib. And Anand is a state of bliss that is encountered only and only in the mergence with the soul. When the mind and the soul merge, when they connect and become one, there's a certain kind of bliss that is experienced within us. And this whole 40 stanzas are about how to bring the mind and the soul in balance, and what happens when the mind and the soul are not in that mergence, in that union or connection. I'm going to share the lines in Gurmukhi first, and then I'll do the English translation for you. So he says, Kahe Nanak, sada gavo eh sachi bani. Says Nanak, always allow the soul to sing through all your expressions. Just that one line gives us reason for pause, doesn't it? In all the utterances, in all the expressions you make in your waking hours, how many of those expressions carry the essence of what your soul intends to express, or what your soul wants to do, or what your soul wants to say? How many utterances, how many actions, how many experiences are based with the intention of the soul? Satguru bina hor kachi hai bani. Without the soul reflected, every word uttered carries only half-truths. Wow, like what clear awakenings are immersed in these words. Did you hear that? Bani ta kachi Satguru bajo, hor kachi bani. Not only are the expressions half-baked, but they are also deeply inconsistent with the soul's intent. Kehte kacche, sunde kacche, kachiyan aankh vikhani. Without the infusion of the soul's truth, all elaborate stories we tell ourselves are fake. Those who speak these stories are fake, and those who listen to these stories are fake. I guess that's where the idea of fake news came from. But this is authentically what he's saying. Any words, any stories we tell ourselves, any expressions we share with others, anything that is not true to the intent of your soul is fake, is false, is unreal. So we continue to spin this web of non-reality around us and within us through the stories and narratives we give ourselves. And so we very slowly get drawn into living a life that is not real, that is half-baked. We don't take responsibility for our soul's experiences. And that's why there's so much blame and claim in this world. Solution is so simple if you listen to his words carefully. He's offering solutions, and they're so simple. All he's saying, make sure that every word you utter, every expression that you make, every action that you take is backed or is infused by your soul's intention. Now, the solution is very simple, but to form a relationship with your soul is where you will need to do the work. It is amazing how many of us in this world do not even venture into exploring what our soul is like. What is the frequency of the soul? Guru Amar Das uses the word Satguru. You will hear the word Satguru in some of these lines. And Satguru is the true teacher, the true Guru that is emanating wisdom all the time. It's broadcasting wisdom, intuition, truths to us all the time. So he says, if you are disconnected from that Satguru, then everything you do, everything you speak, everything you engage in or engage with is going to be part of non-reality. It'll be fake or false. And so your entire experience of life will be based in non-reality. And I mentioned this before, that usually that reconciliation happens in the last moment of our life. That final reconciliation. Did we live our life? How much of our life, how many moments of our life did we live in authenticity to our soul, what the soul came here to do or express? And how much of it was lived in those half-baked truths or completely false narratives? Har har nit karahi rasna, kahya kachu na jaye. They may continually chant har with our tongues, but we have no idea of what we are really doing and what is the bigger consequence that is forming behind our words and actions. Chit jin ka hir liya, maya bolan pai ravani. Their minds hijacked by the lures of Maya, they continue to act and express with hidden agendas. Nowadays, it's become so normal. We actually get surprised when we come across a person who doesn't have a hidden agenda. Isn't that strange? But that's the word Maya again. I think you've heard this before from me. So, myopic vision that we replace our true lens with. The lens of the soul is replaced with the myopic vision of our immediate needs, our egoic wants, our desire for fame or to be known, to be validated, to not be alone. Our fears, our insecurities are all part of this myopic vision of our existence. And most often, this myopic vision replaces the vision of our soul's lens, which is extremely simple and extremely clear. So all work that is done, meditation, yoga, any retreats you go to, right? Any therapy work you do, the goal of all of this is to help you get in touch with that real lens, that clear lens, and to replace it back. Discard that myopic lens. And that is lifetimes of work, if not lifetime of work. So those of you who are on your path, congratulations. For those of you who are still struggling in that, just begin where you are. Just begin now. Find a source, find a path, seek a path that helps you to slowly replace that myopic vision with the vision of your soul. And there are so many paths. There's countless paths. They say there's as many paths to be found as there are to be lost. So there are many, many, many available to you. You just have to find what resonates with that inner Satguru, that inner guide within you. Kahe Nanak Satgur Bajo, Hor Kachi Bani, says Nanak, besides the expression of the soul, all utterances are absolute lies. Wow, pretty profound and radical, isn't it? And now he gives a little bit of solution to this problem. Gur ka shabad ratan hai, hire jit jadao. The expression of the soul is a jewel that's studded with diamonds. Shabad ratan chitman laga, eho hoa samao. The mind which attaches to this jewel merges into the bliss of the soul. The expression of the soul, however it is expressed, through the words you utter, through a gaze, through an action, through a choice, an experience that the soul wants to have, even if it's a challenging experience, if that's the experience that the soul wants to have, then that is the expression of the soul. And engaging in that expression, he says, the feeling that you get within you when you engage that expression is like a jewel that's studded with diamonds. That's the amount of richness you can feel within you when you engage in the expression of the soul. And he says, those who engage, just begin on this path of expressing the truth of their soul. He says they merge into the bliss. They have the experience of the bliss when the mind and the soul come together. It creates an instant explosion of just joy and bliss. And that bliss is unconditional. Anything could be happening around you. Your world on the outside could be falling apart, but the inner experience will be that of absolute bliss. I don't know if any of you have ever had this very paradoxical experience. Like the world outside is completely falling apart. It's not stable. It's not going as your mind, as your ego wishes it to go. But in that surrender, in the expression of your soul, you listen to that and you acted in that, you're just in absolute peace, just in absolute joy. There is no conflict within you. There's no insecurity within you. That is liberation. That is real bliss. Shabad seti man milya, sache laya bhav. The authentic expression of the soul itself becomes the bridge to bind the mind and the soul emergence. So listen carefully. Even if nothing is going your way, if you express what your soul wants to express, like I said, in thought, word, action, choices, it doesn't matter. However it needs to be expressed, and you remain with the authentic expression, that expression itself will become the bridge that connects your mind and the soul together, that creates this long-lasting joy, something you have longed for, that longing to belong that you feel within you, and you keep engaging in outer relationships. That longing to belong is actually the longing to belong between the mind and the soul. They want to come together. They want to consummate that mergence. So he's giving a very simple solution. He says, just express the soul in everything you do. And just that expression will become the very bridge that will allow the unity of the mind and the soul. And when these two come together, there's nothing that does not feel joyful. Even a challenge can feel joyful in that. That is the key. You see, our Maya, our myopic vision keeps telling us, I cannot be happy until I get this. I cannot be happy until I arrive at this. I cannot be happy until I find so and so or such and such. It gives us so many conditions for happiness. And how often have you arrived at that goal that you gave yourself, that you thought, if I do this, I will be happy? How long did that happiness last? Few days, few hours, few minutes, and then the mind offers another goal and it says, well, maybe this wasn't it. Maybe if I do that, then I will arrive at joy that is long lasting. And so what Guru Amar Das is saying here is like, you don't have to worry about all of those. That's an endless cycle of the Maya. All you do is express your authentic soul. And that is the bridge. That is what's going to create that long-lasting mergence, the long-lasting joy and happiness that you long for. It'll create it for you. It's an explosion inside of you. Ape hira ratan ape, jisno de bujhaye. You are yourself, the diamond. You are yourself, the jewel. One who can arrive at this merger will know their own pricelessness. So one who can create the mergence of the mind and the soul will know their own pricelessness. Because in that knowing, in that merger, you get to know and experience yourself like you've never done before. You cannot experience yourself this way, even if somebody outside of you can validate you 100 million times. There's always going to be doubt. There's always going to be fear that something in their opinion will change. Somehow they'll be able to see through you and know that you're a fake. And how much effort does it take to keep up when you form a positive opinion about yourself in somebody's mind? How much effort does it take to keep up, to not fall from that state of grace in their minds? And that is stress, tension, pressure, and friction. That is a very tedious way to live. But the source of all joy is the soul. The source of all conditioning is Maya, is the ego. Kahe Nanak, Shabad Ratan hai, Hira Jit Jadao. Says Nanak, expressing the soul is a jewel studded with diamonds. Let's just breathe together in this moment. Allow your heart to open and allow yourself to receive these shabads. Shabad is words that were spoken in absolute state of pure consciousness. And they can have a very transformative effect on our psyche, way beyond talk therapy. These are healing words. They heal because they speak and address the truth of our soul's condition. And we sprout from our soul. We are multi-layered beings that sprout from the core, from the seed of our soul. So to resolve any issue, mental, emotional, spiritual, psychological, all you have to do is go back to that source seed. That's where all the answers lie. And that's what all of these wisdom mystics are talking about in many, many different ways. But what I love about Guru Amar Das and some of the Sikh tradition is like how direct and yet loving these resolutions are, how easily they're provided. There is no determination of punishment here, except for our own choices and the realities we create in our own lives. So I find this really helpful and profound and always heartwarming and always humbling to my own ego. And I hope you find it the same way. Thank you all. Love you all. Blessings. Enjoy the rest of your week.